don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't.
Hey team, hope you're all doing well. Today's topic I wanted to discuss is your running plan overloaded and how to fix it. As I've mentioned in other videos, training, regardless of what you're training for, whether it's 800 meter or the marathon, your training plan, your running plan can be overloaded at times. And some of the things you need to be thinking about as you're following it is it jumping straight into speed workouts immediately? You know, have you given yourself, some time first to build up your volume before you start working on more specific training? What I mean by specific training is you're starting to train at goal race pace, close to goal race pace, or faster than goal race pace. So it's more specific and more niched down, more narrowed down to the goal race pace that you're aiming to hold for your particular race distance. If your running plan is too overloaded, a lot of times that can lead to burnout or injury. A lot of time if you're trying to, say you're starting a 16-week training plan and you're immediately going into speed workouts, or you're immediately trying to run too aggressive, too anaerobic, too early in that buildup, you can become stale, and you can become burned out by doing that, because again, you haven't the plan itself isn't really structured in the fact that you're not building that aerobic base of mileage. I always tell runners, before starting any training plan or any running plan, give yourself about 3 to 4 weeks of first building some aerobic running first. You can do, if you want to do some speed, or if you want to feel like you're doing more than just running easy during that buildup, do strides. Those 50 meter out to maybe even 100 meters. If you're doing a 100-meter stride, that's a longer stride, so you don't want to just go into a straight all-out sprint. Run the first 50 to 60 meters of that 100-meter stride, relatively relaxed but moderate effort, and then the last, say, 30 to 40 meters of that 100-meter stride, that can be all out. But you don't want to do strides all out from the very beginning, and especially if you're just starting it and you're doing you're building that foundation of mileage. You're building, like I said, 3 to 4 weeks of mileage before you start a running plan. Do more like 50-meter strides, 25 to 50-meter strides. Okay, you can do 5 to 6 of those, maybe 2 to 3 times a week. That way, you're still getting a mixture of running at faster paces, but you're not going to build up any lactic acid by doing strides of that length. A lot of times, I always mention in other videos that in races, and I got this from Jack Hazen, who was my collegiate coach, he said that you can practically sprint all out for 200 meters at the beginning of your race and not build up any lactic acid. So it is important to get out fast in your races, and settle in. But if you're doing strides, you're not gonna really tax the body. You're not gonna get fatigued as you start off doing those first few weeks of aerobic miles or aerobic kilometers. Okay, so it's important to first do that before you start a running plan. Is your running plan overloaded, and how to fix it? I think, again, this is just my opinion, I think it's important to look at how your training is set up. A longer buildup is always going to be better for you. If you're trying to cram everything and you haven't, as I mentioned, an 8-week, 12-week training plan, if you're training for, say, like a 10-mile half marathon or marathon, can work. You can still get in great shape with that amount of time. But you have to have some time first spent running aerobically. Build that foundation, strengthen your muscles, strengthen your ligaments, strengthen your tendons before you start trying to run at faster paces. Because if you don't do that, the risk of injury is going to increase. You haven't given yourself any time, and your coach or your running plan is just telling you just immediately start doing repeat Ks on the track when you haven't built the anaerobic fitness to do that, and the aerobic fitness to do that. You just jump into doing workouts that are too aggressive, too soon, and then you get burned out, you get frustrated because you're not hitting the splits that you want. And again, it really comes down to first with any running plan is first toughen the mind, toughen the muscles, ligaments, tendons of the body first. You have to gradually get into better fitness. It's going to be hard when you're overweight, when you're not in race shape. You're going to feel very unnatural when you first start any training plan. Okay, so be patient with yourself. I think that's one of the most important things I can stress. When you're starting a running plan, be patient. The body takes time. It takes about 3 to 4 weeks. Actually, in physiology books, it says it takes about 28 days to adapt. Okay, so if you're having a hard time right now running 4 to 5 miles or around 8 kilometers on the roads, and you feel like you're sucking wind, you're just really having a difficult time, slow down your paces. Don't try to run too fast too soon. Like I mentioned, give yourself time to first run very easy. Learn to jog before you start focusing on running. Okay, jog first. If you have a hard time jogging, then walk 5 minutes and then jog for 2 minutes, and then repeat that like 5 to 10 times out on your walk/jog. Okay, first learn to do that before you start focusing on running at faster paces. Again, when we get too focused on running too fast, too soon, and we haven't focused on building any foundational knowledge first, it gets us frustrated. You can get burned out. You can get still. You can run the risk of injury because, again, you were trying to run way too quick, too soon, and either you stressed a muscle or you pulled a muscle because, again, you didn't follow the process first. So if your running plan is too heavily focused on anaerobic training too early, then you need to adjust that. That's one of the most important things to fix, is to first say, have I done any mileage first before I started this training plan? Did I just jump into it and get to because I'm having a hard time hitting these splits. And again, if your running plan tells you to run a specific mile split or specific splits for 800 meters or 600 meters or 200 meters on the track or on the roads, wherever it is, you can adjust. Even I always tell my runners that if you invest in one of my training plans, or if you've went through my running courses, at the end of each one of my running courses, I have a 16-week training plan at the end of my running courses as well. So it's a combination of both. But I always tell my runners, it's the training plans are a guide. You don't have to hit exactly each split that's dictated on the training plan. The key thing is to get within a few seconds of that particular intensity, because again, every athlete's different. Every athlete's going to come into their training plan or their running plan in a different state, mental and physical state. So adjust as needed. Okay, if the training plan says you need to be hitting exactly 50 miles a week or 80 kilometers a week or wherever it is, adjust as needed. Okay, there's going to be days where you're just going to feel off. You're not going to be, you're not going to be hitting the splits, or you're going to have a much more difficult time hitting the volume that your running plan tells you to be hitting. So always follow how you're feeling first. If you feel like maybe I need to be running these splits maybe 10 seconds faster or 10 seconds slower, then do so as needed. Okay, don't feel like you have to hit exactly right on the splits shown on the training plan. Okay, so that's another major thing to fix as you go through your training plan. I've had a lot of athletes that have told me, that have reached out to me and said, "Hey, I set a huge personal best follow your training plan. I didn't hit quite right on every workout that you had, and sometimes I needed to adjust the splits a little bit at times, but for the most part, I followed it right exactly as you had it." I love hearing that because it tells me the athlete is at least mature enough to know that, hey, I don't need to be hitting right on these paces, but I do need to go out there and give it my best shot and know that even if the workout went poor, I still got a physical and mental benefit from getting out there and stressing myself. I didn't hit the splits, or maybe I was much faster than I was supposed to hit, and I was running much more aggressive. But at least that athlete was mature enough to slow, even if they went too quick or they went too slow, they were jogging on those recovery days. I can't stress that enough. Make sure that you're giving yourself 24 or around 48 hours of recovery between each one of your harder efforts. You have to adapt to what you're throwing at yourself. You can't just expect that you're going to get a return on your investment if you don't have the same level of discipline that you have for your tempo runs, your long runs, your hill repetitions or track workouts. If you don't have that same amount of discipline to slow down on your easy days, if you're out with a group on an easy day and say they didn't do that, the track workout you did or the tempo run that you did the day before, and they start taking off, if you don't have the same discipline that you had on that anaerobic effort to slow down, let those runners take off. Let them run at a faster pace. They didn't do the workout that you did. Okay, so I can't say that, stress this enough. You have to have that discipline to slow down. You're not trying to run a race in a workout. Save the race for race day. Don't race every single workout that you do. Don't, even like, I always look at Jakob Ingebrigtsen. He's, multiple world record holder from Norway. He always says, I don't race in a workout. I always save that particular effort for the race. I always run a little bit less in training than I actually do in the race. I save a little bit more for that. So those are some of the things. If your running plan is overloaded and how to fix it, kind of like I mentioned, adjust the intensity, adjust the volume a little bit as needed. The running plan, again, is always a guide. It's kind of something to just tell you, I want to hit around these particular intensities. I want to hit around these particular volumes. Do the best you can to run at the volume or the intensity that it states, but fix it as needed in terms of the intensity or the volume. Okay, if it's the volume, you're running way too much volume that you're accustomed to, run 10 to 15% less kilometers or miles per week than the running plan states. Okay, it doesn't need to be exact. Okay, because again, you don't want to get to the point that you're trying to be too aggressive and you haven't prepared yourself, and the running plan is asking much more out of you than you're willing to physiologically accept at the time. And just be patient with yourself. Okay, so I hope this video is helpful for all of you. Be sure to check out the resources below these videos or on RunDreamAchieve.com if you're ready to set a new personal best in your event. I hope that the tools and resources that are located here or on the website are helpful for all of you. And again, thanks so much for watching my videos. Feel free to like and share these videos. Definitely it'll help the channel grow and help a lot of other runners around the world to see these videos. So thanks so much, and I'll talk to you all in the next one.